Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Suhamira Nordin from Faculty of Language and Communication, UNIZA, Kuala Terengganu. We'll be presenting on teachers' behavior, a theoretical framework to guide a research on ICT usage in English language teaching. So, the emergence of unexpected crises, likewise a global pandemic outbreak, led technology as a savior to sustain learning in education sector. The closure of schools to avoid mass gathering and to assure social distancing has resulted 91.3% or approximately 1.5 billion students are registered throughout the world cannot do things in school because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The report from UNESCO 2020. It also has been felt by 1.7 million of Malaysian students in high risk of falling behind from Statistics Malaysia 2020. According to Auditor General Survey in 2013, technology use among teachers in Malaysia reported 80% of teachers spend less than 1 hour per week and 5% of teachers make daily use of ICT facilities. Nevertheless, COVID-19 has been a blessing in disguise when during the Movement Control Order, massive use of technology has been monopolized by teachers and educators to sustain learning among the learners regardless of all limitations and barriers at previous time. So how to explain this behavior? Is it the concern of the teacher? Is it the teacher's adaptive behavior or the teacher's reaction to emergency crisis? Before we begin, let me explain the definition from the three scholars on ICT usage in ALT. ISMAM has 2012 has defined that ICT use, the usage of technology is a practical use of knowledge in specific area and a way of doing tasks, especially using technical processes, method or knowledge. While Gilad-Jani 2017 indicates the integration of technology by teachers to perform familiar activities more effectively and how the usage can reshape the activities that can bring innovation to these activities. And Dockstader 2008 defined the use to improve the educational environment and to support classroom teaching through creating opportunities for the learners to complete the task with integrated technology. Alright, human behavior development is adapting to innovation. In the context of technology integration in language learning, it's explained in the behavior change model by Boudreau 2010. This reasoning is directly associated with the supposition that if people are better informed, the awareness arises and consequently would be motivated to behave in a responsible manner. Akintunde 2017. So the knowledge is actually react to the attitude with appropriate attitude that can bring behavior change. Alright, other similar models also highlighted the link of knowledge to attitude and attitude to behavior. Thus, behavior change model explains a linear model of changing behavior that develops to action when the knowledge increases with favorable attitude and awareness of teaching and learning environment. Nevertheless, the legitimacy of this simplistic linear model is not recognized, as researchers need to focus on their attention on a hypothesis that could be verified and accepted, which involve multiple of variable interaction in different degrees to influence the embracing of technology integration language lesson. So when a good knowledge of technology variables good knowledge and attitude may not necessarily imply good and sustainable use of technology in teaching. On the other hand, The lack of technology knowledge or awareness may also not necessarily imply a poor teaching practice. So therefore, other intervening factors like the teacher's knowledge, teacher's beliefs, and social support need to be considered. While a line of possible relationship can be deciphered through this model, reality is far more complex than this linear trend. Hence, a more advanced model incorporating this line of relationship is needed to offer a succinct explanation of the interacting variables of teachers' behavior in ICT use for English language teaching. In simpler way, behavior is explained in theory of psychology, meanwhile learning is explained in theory of learning. In order to explain the teacher's behavior on ICT use in English language teaching, social cognitive theory by Bandura focuses on the role of observing and learning from others and on positive and negative reinforcement of behavior. And this theory by Bandura have indicated 4 basic assumptions to represent the theory in learning and psychology, namely, the first one is goal-directed or purposeful behavior, the second one is self-reflective, the third one is self-regulate, and the fourth one is triadic reciprocal determinism. When meanwhile the latest is being captive at the central of the theory. So let's look at reciprocal determinism. For the purpose of the study, reciprocal determinism is captured to describe as a model of causation involving behavior, cognition, and other personal factors and environmental influences, which operate as interacting determinants that influence each other bidirectionally. So these interactional links are represented by personal and behavior to environment, and personal and environment. So let's look at in a figure so that it will be clearer. Okay, so this is Bandura's 1989 theory of reciprocal causation. Okay, for the person and behavior, firstly, personal factors and behavior factors of reciprocal causation. Let me put this way. Okay, personal and behavioral reciprocal causation involving factors that reflect the interaction between thoughts, affects, and action, whereby what teachers think, believe, and feel affect how they behave. In turn, the natural and extrinsic effect on their action also partly determine their thought patterns and emotional reaction. So by right, teachers react on their personal thoughts and pedagogical beliefs to adhere with the behavior change due to reform or innovation. Alright, and then the second reciprocal relationship occurs between, put this way, between personal characteristic and environmental influences. So personal to environmental influences. Alright. Teachers' characteristics that are built upon belief, expectation, and emotional band and cognitive competencies are developed and modified by social influences that convey information and activate emotional reaction through modeling, instruction, and social persuasion. Furthermore, teachers also evoke different reaction from their social environment according to their physical characteristic. Namely age, size, race, gender, physical appearance differ from what they say and do. And then the third segment of reciprocal causation in this triadic system is represented by behavior and environment influences. Okay. In everyday life, behavior could alter environmental condition and is in turn altered by the very condition it creates. In most environments, nevertheless, do not operate as an influence until being activated by appropriate behavior. For example, teachers do not influence students unless they attend their class, and at the same time, teachers can also influence students' motivation. So the causal effect of bidirectionality between behavior and environmental circumstances make human or teachers both share the same role of the products and producers of their environment. So in the same vein, the most found factors which influence teachers' behavior lies on their demographic factors, organization, and personal factors. Okay, referring to the linear effect on the behavior change model, by which a researcher needs to include multiple variables interaction to be tested, as to give a significant relationship between the variables. So, social cognitive theory with reciprocal determinism has identified the variable in terms of personal, cognitive, and environmental factors to determine the behavior. So it guides the research study on ICT usage in English language teaching to determine the influences by means of specific determinants to represent personal and environment factors. So these are the important elements to determine the influences, which are teachers' knowledge that will be represented by technological pedagogical content knowledge framework by Mishra and Kohler 2006, and then metacognitive approach by the teacher with teacher's pedagogical beliefs. Okay, so this is the proposed theoretical framework to guide the research, which is underpinned in social cognitive theory, and the determinants will signify the hypothesis of the research to find the relationship and differences among groups of English as second language primary school teachers in Malaysia. As knowledge is the main source for behavioral change, therefore, in determining the influences from knowledge and belief from the triadic bidirectional relationship, technological pedagogical content knowledge TPEC framework by Mishra and Kohler 2006 with metacognitive approach by Flavel 1979 will be bidirectionally interact with pedagogical belief that representing the person from the personal and environment factors. The significance of the research signifies the elements from the determinants to reach ASL primary school teachers in assessing their own teaching with technology. It also notifies the stakeholder and professional development developers of the factors that need further action. So I think that's all. Thank you so much for listening, and question, comments or suggestion, you can find me at suhamira@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.